Basic SEO 101. Google versus Bing versus ChatGPT versus Perplexity. You get me? Welcome to the room, and you're always going to have a good time. You already know it. You already know that anytime you listen to one of these episodes, you always get to connect, learn, grow, build, take action and take charge of your business. Because the number one thing that we have to think about is how we show up online and where we show up online. And if we show up online, where do we show up and for what reasons are we showing up? And if we can set the intention for those reasons to be justified, then that gives us more accuracy in lead traffic acquisition, growth, building, and just learning from your audiences what they want from you. So I'm really excited. I'm really thankful for being here with you guys today. Welcome to the room. It's good to have you all here. I just wanted to thank you for being here. We're going to have a good conversation. Thanks for being here, Nikki, Melissa, Jessica, Shan, Trillionaire, Jay, Nadia. Appreciate you all, and also Daniel and everyone coming in too. My name is Favour Obasi-ike, and I'm based in Houston, Texas. And I'm excited to be here with you today because I want to help you understand how you can grow your marketing campaigns organically, and you can do it for your business. If you need paid advertising, that's something you can also add on. But majorly, your goal is to give insight to people who want to learn from you or learn about what you can provide online. So I thought about this topic and I changed it 3 times. The first time I put it, I was like, okay, it's going to be about, are you on Bing? And I was like, that's not really a good question to ask because some people may not even be on it to even know what it is. So I said, okay, let me switch it to Bing Webmaster Tools. Then I thought, uh, nah, because if I just talk about the tools, that's it. But I was saying, you know what? Let me go into a commercial base and do a versus, so that I can still talk about it, but also give you concepts that allow me. This is also part of the structure and part of the format. So I said, okay, now I'm gonna switch it up to Bing. And I said, okay, if not just doing Bing, I'll do Google, Bing, ChatGPT, and Perplexity, so that they can all, tie in together, and we can run this together and have a good time, talk about some important things that are going to give you long-term success, but at the same time you're thinking about long-term growth as well. So I'm excited that you guys are here today, and we'll talk about this within the hour. Welcome to the room, John. Good morning. How are you? Actually, afternoon.
Good afternoon, Favor. Yeah, it's 1:04 Eastern Time. And I don't know squat about ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI when it comes to search. So I'm interested in learning more.
Thank you for being here, John. Appreciate you for being with us today. Yeah, I thought about this topic and I said, if it's the right time to talk about it, it would be on a Monday, because I wanted to, at least set the week off with giving people insights on, what exactly their goal is, what their structure is, what the value is, and what the value exchange is. And I said, okay, definitely the goal would be for me to help you understand what these platforms are even doing in the first place and what it contributes, to the average person. Because if you think about it, there was a research study done, and you can Google this and then verbatim and then find the resource, because I want you to also check it out as well and see it too. And I'll come to your question, Melissa. That's a great question. You know, when I look at the scope from Google, Bing, ChatGPT, Perplexity, I've seen that it's it's like there's a common factor that's contributing to this model, but essentially your goal is to show up for the results that people search on. So when I looked online, I said, okay, what's going on in the web? Because right now we're talking about zero search or zero clicks or zero search based clicks. And it's like, okay, what are zero clicks? If it's zero clicks, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it zero based? And by what I've seen through research, 97% of websites, right, are barely getting any traffic. And when I say barely, I mean, if you do a tally and not just talk about Google ranking, but talk about Alexa ranking, because it's something called Alexa ranking. If you do Google ranking, Alexa ranking, do, if you're on Pinterest, Pinterest ranking, if you're on YouTube, YouTube ranking, and just put your content on all those platforms and see where you are how do I put this? From an omni-channel perspective, your marketing value appreciates when you show up in more places than one, right? Because if you show up on different news sources, different sites, different backlinks, different pages, you get more resource, you get more insight, more people get to see you, more people get to connect with you, and ultimately more people want to work with you, right? Because when people are searching online, they're searching for answers. That's the major thing. People are going online to search for answers. So if the answers are in the frequently asked questions section, then it just brings in to say, what's the next goal? How are we going to take this to the next stage? Like the space is so wide for everyone to really take the next step of action, but you have to create the call to action. Before you call someone, you have to dial in the number, or at least go to the contact before you make the call. You just can't call the person, say, or you can even say, hey Siri, call this person, or hey Alexa, this, that. But before the call is made, there's a there's an action that had to be taken. There's a prompt, there's a question that had to be asked. Welcome, Bianca. Glad to have you here. When you think about the long-term effect of your search, right? You're thinking about growth. So if only 3% are really at the top, think about it. One position, two, position three. One, two, three. How is it going to rank? How is it going to work for you? We have a client that we were just working on, doing some work this morning because they sell table covers, right, for events. Because I was like, okay, you guys want to sell table covers for events. How are we going to tell people that you sell table covers for events? Now I said, okay, we can't be that ambiguous. Like, yeah, everybody has an event. You can have a birthday event, you can have a cyber event, you can have a real estate open house event. Like, it's open source. So what is the actual goal? And he said, we want to reach out to business owners who are going for trade shows. And in those trade shows, they want to show their brand. So instead of them just having white, table covers, they can have their branded logo. It looks clean. It looks very attractive. And it's also something that people can use to, to engage business. So I said, okay, bingo. If you guys want to handle for trade shows, let's put you in that space, because they started ranking for restaurants and tablecloths. And I was like, is that where you guys want to go? They're like, no. So sometimes you can get all this traffic, but if it's not where you want your information to be or how you want it to be, then you have to restructure the layer. And restructuring the layer means understanding what the foundation has. If you're doing it on good soil, how well is that soil? How well built is it? Welcome, Dominic. You're building this based on traffic, based on resource, and also based on impact. So now when we think about tablecloths, I'm thinking trade shows for them. And that's what we're doing now to rank. And we set up their console last week. Yeah, just last week, December 9th, just last week. And after we set it up, we said, okay, give it a week. Let's see what we get, because technically they didn't connect anything. And when you connect your website to Google Search Console, some people don't connect it to Bing Webmasters too. That's a missed opportunity. So when we connect you to Search Console, we're not just connecting you to the web. Yeah, it's good to be on Google, but it's also good to be on Bing, because Bing also has a market share value, right? And if you think about Bing, there's also you. I don't know if you've ever heard of this website called you.com, you.com. It's an AI search engine, and it's like Perplexity but on steroids. So you can check it out, you.com, search for anything, and it's powered by Microsoft Bing. So where am I going with this? It's good to be on Google. It's good to be on the map. It's good to be on a search engine, it's good to be having responsive pages. But if you're not on those other pages, those 3%, 2%, 5%, those things add up eventually, because it gives you a cumulative compounded interest value score that allows you to even become even wider in research, wider in bandwidth, wider in connections. Because if you're not just on one platform, then it's good. If you're not just in one store, if you're in Walmart, Target, Trader Joe's, Publix, before you know it, you get used to that product because you keep seeing it every time. Thank you, Ebenezer. Yes, you.com. You guys check it out. It's a really good platform. And if you want to be on you.com, type your business name there, type your keywords there, and see if you show up or your competitor does. If they show up, what are they doing that you're not? So it's understanding the lay of the land and seeing exactly where you want that to go to. So you have a really good question, Melissa. Is it worth it to pay for subscription for GPT? The real question I want to find out, because if I answer this, because I can say yes or no, and it's very subjective, because you can decide to, I don't have a subscription with ChatGPT, for example. I used to have it, in the beginning when it was ChatGPT 3, before it became 3.5. That was when November 2022. Was it 22? Yeah, I think it was 22, I believe. Yeah, or 23. I knew it was like end of the year. And really, really early when ChatGPT was like emerging, when you had to like join into the beta wait list. And when I signed up, it was cool. It made sense. I like it. But for the things that I do now, I mean, you can use ChatGPT and, go crazy. But I'm looking at it from am I going to be a producer, or am I going to be a consumer? That's the difference I'm looking at. Because if I'm paying for the subscription, what is it helping me do? Is it helping me draft, helping me do things? Is it helping me align? Is it automating? What is the task at hand? So from there, I can now scale back and say, okay, if this is what I want to achieve, then is there an alternative that may be, cost effective and also time impactful, as opposed to just having it on, a surface? So that's how I would analyze it, because it depends on how you want to build it out. There's so many ways you can create AI automation tools and use it for different things, but it's also to know, like, okay, what is a major driver here? And it's grown to chat GPT 4.0. So it's still growing. There's cloud, there's AI overview. There are so many. So when you stick into this one module, my thing is, as a producer, I want to be on all these platforms, including Alexa, which is happening now on smart speakers. Not because my goal is to reach that speaker. My goal is to reach the impact. Like, is to reach, like, when you think about impressions, reach, impact, all these KPIs, all these scores, all these metrics. When you look at the actual key metric or the key value, it's different. Because when I think about impressions, am I impressed? Not everyone's impressed at first glance, right? But if something is impressing me or impressive to you, then you're able to have interest. And that impression becomes now a reach, because with reach, you're using your hand to stretch out. So now it's like, okay, I'm stretching out to reach out for this thing. So reaching is like, okay, I've left the total available market square, because everybody is in this market, and I'm now into a service available market square. So now in this service available market square, I'm like, okay, what does this service have to do with my business? Is it obtainable? We start thinking about the SMART goals, right? So when we think about those SMART goals, where are we showing up on those platforms? So, and if you're not showing up on that platform, then that's another thing. So your dominance online starts off by building the surface. And for me, what has really helped me, and yes, SEO great, Pinterest great, everything is great there. What has really helped move the needle for me is podcasting. Like, there's no other way I can go around this, because when I think about domain authority and I think about responsibility with content, it's a big deal. Because when you start hitting those domain authority scores that are really high in value, and it takes between 7 to 10 points for each year. So think about them like credit points, right? So you can always grow exponentially, but if you think about the average 12-month calendar year, it's usually between 7 to 10 points. So it means, let's say if you have a new website today and you really, really like gone ham on your website, and you've really like made sure like within a month you've done a lot, within a year you've done even more, and let's say you have on average 100 pages. On average, not everyone has 100 pages in their first year, right? Sometimes you may have 10 to 50, but it's more so on the lower scale than the upper scale. But if you have up to 100 optimized structured pages, you don't have to get to 10 points. You could get to 20 points. It's like credit scores. You can either go 100 points up or 100 points down, right? So it depends on what you want to do. So there's no like fixed score or fixed asset or fixed variable. It's just something for you to use as a yardstick, so that litmus test allows you to stay in a forecasted zone instead of it just being a ambiguous, zone. So if you look at your domain authority and let's say it's on a 5, by the end of the year, it's at a 12. That's a good thing. By the end of the next year, it's at almost a 20. By the third year, you're almost around 30. By the time you look at a 3-year timeline, 4-year timeline, 5-year timeline, it grows. Because for me, like this website you see at the top, if you go in Ahrefs, the last time I checked, this was last week, the domain authority is at 50. So that tells me, okay, I've done 5 years podcasting, 5 years. So on average, I've spent about 10 points. And it's hard to get to 10 points. To get to 1 point is already like a stretch. But to get to 10 points means you've gone through a full year cycle with consistency and quality in delivery and assurance. And of course, the reassurance comes in the consistency. So in a 5-year timeline, I know, okay, by this time next year, God willing, it should be at a 60, domain authority of 60. My goal is not to look at that. My goal is, okay, 10 years from now, what am I going to be doing on my podcast? What will I be saying? Would I be saying the same thing? Will I be morphing it? What would it turn into? So by the time we think about ChatGPT in 2025, by this time next year, it's going to be a whole different thing. So I think the major question is what the need is. And then when you can fulfill that need and it doesn't require you to be on this one tool, then it can scale further. If it requires you to be there and that's what is best for you, by all means, yes. And if it's not, going above your overhead costs, that's totally fine too. So I think it just works based on what you need, but it also is dependent on what the actual value of your, you know, goal is with the AI. So there are so many tools out there I can give, but I don't want to just mention too many tools that it gets confusing. But there are things that you can definitely do to make those adjustments. John and Dominic, what are your thoughts on that? Have you used the tools? What do you use? Do you use ChatGPT? What's going on?
I use ChatGPT quite a bit, and here's the two tools I use. One is Uber Suggest for keywords. So here's how the process goes. I write the show notes for new episodes, the podcast version of my show, by hand, and then I figure out what using Uber Suggest what the most searched keywords are, the top 20. I'll take that information and I'll go to ChatGPT and say, rewrite this as a blog using these keywords. I put in the 20 keywords and I paste in the content that I wrote originally. And it usually spits out what I'm going to use. I copy that, I do some basic editing, and I use that for my show notes. Then I'll take the exact same thing and I will copy what is the show notes. And I'll say, rewrite this as a news article and paste what was spit out already from the show notes from ChatGPT, and that becomes the content for my newsbreak article. And there's some basic editing I do in there, and then I take what was the newsbreak article and I'll say rewrite this as a lifestyle blog. I put it in ChatGPT, and it spits out a version, and I do some basic editing, and that becomes the source for my Medium blog, lifestyle blog article. Then I'll take what's from there, and so they're all slightly different that spits out, and I'll say to ChatGPT and I say rewrite this as a blog article, and it pastes what was previously spit out and used for Medium, and that becomes after some editing my content for my blog spot or blogger article or blog post. Um, and then imdb.com, I'll do an episode of the show. And I use basically what I use the first paragraph from the show notes that were originally spit out. So I use ChatGPT to speed up the process of writing. And here's the one thing. Remember, I said the very first thing was I put in the keywords. I found that ChatGPT is much better at keyword density and distribution than I am, and it's much better results search engine wise. So that's how I use it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I love that. I love how you actually refine your process as opposed to a first draft publish. I love that because a lot of people still have this weird thing of, oh, I'll just let ChatGPT do it for me. But some people do it very well. Like, I mean, it's been a couple of years now, so people have really done their homework and they've been able to really refine it to their style, and their brand and their voice. But I also think it's really important, like you said, to refine those edges so that you're also getting that sharp, connection with the person. Love that, John. Thank you. Thank you. Dominic, we'd love to hear from you too. Welcome to the room.
Thank you, my friends, John, Favor. So much valuable input. Favor, I love hearing you speak on these topics. As soon as I hear you talk, I think, man, I should be doing more stuff. I am not as efficient as I need to be. I missed the boat on that. John, do you ever feel like that? Like that you drop the ball on something, like you should be doing it, and then
That's why I listen to Favor and Dominic and get hints.
oh man. Okay, so Favor, I love you, but I am feeling a little bad about myself now that I'm not doing a few of these things. But to answer your question, I'm a big believer in ChatGPT, but here into what you just said, it is not first draft ready. I'm going to speak more directly. It sucks first draft ready. Like where as a publisher of books, where I see the biggest flaw is people come to me and they say, Chat GPT wrote this. No, oh no. As soon as I hear those words, I know. Now, I know there's trouble. Now, if you're putting in show notes, if you're putting in bios, if you're putting in an article you wrote before and you're saying convert it to third person, convert it to 50 social media posts that are uplifting, convert this bio and this to 25 LinkedIn posts. It's beautiful for that. But you have to have some content first that is in your voice. Otherwise, you are letting it'll create something for you. It'll create somebody else's stuff for you. And that's what you're living by. So that's first. And then I will say, just as I'm filling it back out here, something I've sworn by since the start of my business is I use Google Ads. And somebody once told me, one of my friends in marketing, they said, if you think that you're not going to use Google Ads and Google's going to help you, the smartest, biggest company in the world, they're going to just put you to the top and you're not going to play ball with them. So I have played ball over the years and I am Favor. You kicked me in the butt here today. So I am back filling out something that got deleted or they lost my credit card or something. So I have to do that. So thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate that 100%. Yeah, it's really good timing to start looking at your analytics, what you're using, where you're using things. And I didn't plan to say what I'm going to say after Ryan speaks, but I think it's time for me to talk about this platform because sometimes I wait. I've been using this platform for a year now, and I give myself time to let it simmer before I'm able to demystify it to someone because I don't want you to use it and not enjoy, the good things because you didn't know. So I'll be talking about a tool today that's going to help you bring all this four into one. I didn't plan to do it, but I'll give you an affiliate link at the top of the room when we'll talk about it and help you with this today. And if you can try it out for yourself, cool. If you need more help on how to make it more strategic, I'm going to be running, really, really cool rooms about this later on, possibly in the new year, but I'm going to talk about this once this year. I didn't plan to say it, but I will talk about it once in this room. Thanks for being here, Ryan. How are you? Good afternoon. I would love to hear your thoughts on the topic.
How's it going, man? I was actually about to ask you. So actually, one thing that I did recently is I created a. I do pay for. ChatGPT Plus, not the $200 a month one, just the $20 a month one. But I used O1 Preview model to, the reasoning model to create a custom GPT wrapper that I can use for GPT 4.0, to basically, I use SEMrush. So it's basically a template that I can. It's a prompt template that I can use to conduct some keyword research and link building opportunities. But what I was actually going to ask you is, who do you have anyone that you would recommend to outsource link building to? Because I've, like, for example, I just paid for, a guest post, package for $100. Obviously, it wasn't, it's not a big deal, but it's like, oh, we've got all these, it's not quite a PBN, right? They're saying that it's not a PBN, but it's essentially a PBN. And then looking at the quality that after, they gave me, I think 7 links for $100, and they're all like, oh, it's DA 40 plus, and looking at these sites, it's like, okay, this is, something that I would usually disavow. So anyways, I was just wondering if you had any suggestions for uh, companies to outsource your link building to.
Great question, Ryan. First thing I'll say is what you just described is a black hat SEO tactic. And where we're going in 2025 is not going to work. We need to have a white hat SEO tactic. So I'll just break it down for people who probably hearing this for the first time. So there's black hat, there's white hat, and there's gray hat. I won't talk about gray hat. I'll just talk about black and white. Black hat is technically a way of kind of gaming the system in a way, like kind of going behind what the standardization of optimization would be. So, in other words, it's not fair play. It's like trying to make sure that the system is kind of like leaning more towards you because of a tactic or like a chess move that you want to make, right? Even though it was not credible from the start, yes, there's credibility, but it's not authenticity in its entirety, if that makes sense. So the black hat tactic is not really the best. And that's where, like you talked about PBN as well, which is, private blog networking. So when you're creating those networks with people, for you to even be justified on the web, yes, it has a DA of 40, 50, but it's not authentically grown. Like my podcast is what helped my business, is what helped my website, the one that you see at the top of the room, to get to 50 DA. I didn't pay for backlinks. I don't even run ads for the company. It's all organic. I don't run paid marketing services. We do marketing for paid advertising and help businesses, with advertising and link building, website building, schema, all things digital marketing. But we don't specifically do one thing because all those things tie in together. So if they're using that and you're using those links as a metric to now get links, it's not going to be a long term plan because eventually you're going to keep paying that $100 to get more links as opposed to building authority from scratch and then building it out. So my question to you would be, what are the links you're trying to build and what authority are you trying to gain?
So this is actually for this is for an AI based erotica generator, and the links in the adult space are much harder to obtain through traditional channels, because you can't, as far as like guest posting and doing interviews or podcasts and stuff like that, it's obviously a little bit different. Not saying that those opportunities don't exist at all, but it's more niche than that. And traditional sources, for link building opportunities don't exist in the same way. So in this instance, I was like, okay, like these people, I was looking specifically for guest blog posts that would accept, adult oriented content, even though it's like the site itself, like the content itself that I'm writing for guest post submission isn't adult oriented, but the link within it obviously is, right. It's a tool that can be used for. It's basically, I'm ranking for uncensored Chat GPT stuff, stuff like that. Um, so, and NSFW stories, stuff like that. So it's not, um, quote unquote traditional as far as what I would be using for my SEO tactics. So for this one, I was like, all right, let's find some. Let's just I need to start building some authority right now, because I mean, I've done a lot of on page optimization, and I'm I am ranking, but I'm trying to get past a couple of the top uh, sites that I have seen are I've done backlink analysis of their sites and seen that they've paid for a bunch of directory submissions and stuff like that. Like there's a website, for example, called There's an AI for that, and it started off free back in the day, and now I think they're charging $400 per link in your directory. So there's just that's just like one example of like how they're a lot of these companies are paying for link placement, and I'm just trying to find alternatives to going out and just copying their links one to one.
It's a long term thing because, like, from what you described, it's like you want to just hit that run. You want to make sure you get there, you stay there, you maintain it. But like you said, it's going to take some time to build. And if that's the type of content that's different, then you also have to think about where that audience is. They may not be on Google, but Google may be a source for them to be on. Just like you wouldn't be looking for information, for example, like you're talking about, NSFW. If I'm thinking like, okay, onlyfans.com, you can find that on Google, but the content within, like you said, has to go through a gateway. So if you're doing this long term, and I don't know for what reason, I don't know what the goal is, what the plan is, but when I look at it from a tactical standpoint, I'm thinking commercial. And to build that commercial intent is going to take a while. And that's where it requires strategy. So I can't be able to give that here, but I know exactly how that can go because I actually had an instance when somebody in Russia actually, and he reached out to me, kind of like the same content that you're doing in a way, but his was for YouTube, going to his Patreon. And he met me on Reddit. He found my post about Pinterest and SEO and DM'd me back then and had a Zoom call with him, and he was in Russia. So I was like, this is interesting. So helped him out for about 6 months to just stabilize his online presence for that because he was doing something around that area too, with his content. So I've seen it before. It's not new to me, but I also know that there's a strategy that it's like the unorthodox way of doing it, but it's still white hat SEO, which is fair play because you also want to show up for the right thing. You also want to do it ethically. You want to do it with professional etiquette, and you also want to show up as a brand. So it's a lot of layers to it. But yeah, if you want to get on a call, just click on the link above and click book a call, and we'll talk about that, Ryan. But that was a great question.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you see, these are questions that I love to hear because, there are different types of industries, different types of places, and, you never know. Some platforms are good for that, some platforms are not good for that. Like I know X is good for that. If you think about where the history is, look at other platforms. Facebook will not allow that. Instagram will not allow that. TikTok will ban you. So you have to think about where you're creating your content and then from what angle are you giving content to. Like if you look at ChatGPT and Perplexity, if you're going to be on those results pages, then you need to be on the sources that drive the traffic to those algorithms. So what's the source traffic? YouTube, Reddit, your website, right? Pinterest, being on TikTok. Threads is also a big one now. If you have threads, you can actually have your thread show up on the Google search result. Because if you type in the first few letters or first few words, that's what shows up as a thread because it's a thread. It starts with a sentence. A thread starts with a sentence, right? It starts with a string. So that string turns into a thread, and that thread turns into a rope, and that rope turns into something you can use, right? So you think about the long, I'm looking at a rope right now. That's crazy. A Christmas tree. When you think about the long-term effect, right, of your business, can you show up 24 months from now for the same thing? It may take a while. And most people don't like to wait for that long, but it's worth the time because if you're going to be running ads all year, and let's say you didn't run ads the next year and you still made the same money or more, you wouldn't run the same amount of advertising budget, you might cut it down by 50%, maybe cut it down by 70% because you've already gotten to your KPI milestone. So your goal is to look at it from Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, right? I look at it like this: 100% organic, 0% paid. Q1, right? Q2, I can say, okay, 80% organic, 20% paid, right? Q3, I could do 50% organic, 50% paid. And then I could flip it and now do 20% organic, 80% paid. So when you look at that stretch, your goal is not to just look for the time to do organic posting or the time to pay for advertising. The goal is, if I'm going to split it up into these quarters, then my business has a different season than somebody else. The medical field is different from the real estate world. The farming industry is different from the music and entertainment industry. So if you're in an industry that is going to be best served at a specific time, then that's fine. Like right now, it's Christmas season, right? So everybody is out there with their business, doing all the good things, connecting with people, having all these great deals. It's a great time. But at the same time, your goal is to show up for the right things. Right now, one of our strategies is we're writing for 2025 because no one is really writing for 2025. I've done the scope, I've seen it, no one's talking about it. And that's the thing. Well, like imagine you have a huge engine. Like think about it. Somebody gives you a power truck to drive and you don't use this truck. It's literally in the garage the whole year. That's what it feels like. Like no one has seen this truck. You've not had the ignition. You've not shifted gears. Nothing has happened. And you have a huge truck, a power truck, and you've not used it. That's what it feels like when you have a website that you're paying for with a domain, with hosting, but you're not using it on a search engine that requires your pages. Because every time people show up online, they show up on social media first, right? But we forget that social media is rented property. It's rented property. Like if Facebook goes down today, which has happened, if one platform goes down today, if TikTok is not going to be here, who knows? Who knows? Who really knows? Like, who has the answers? We don't know. Only God does, right? So, if your goal is to show up online for the right reason, then your goal should be authority, because authority earns respect over time. You don't just get respect. It just doesn't happen. You earn it. And that earning starts off by giving first. Servant leadership, right? You think about being a servant leader, you show up by leading the way. When you lead the way, people follow, right? So you're leading the way in your industry with your links because you're talking about things in a forecasted way. So it's not just posting because I have something to say. It's posting because I know by this time next year, you're going to be asking the same question. So let me show up now so that next year I don't have to show up again. I'm already showing up for the same people within the same scope. And then your goal is to now show up on a daily basis because this is traffic we're talking about. Traffic. You can see traffic on the road right now. If you want to find traffic, you can go outside and find traffic. You can't miss traffic. It's impossible to miss it. But what about that traffic? If that traffic clears up and there's no lead acquisition, there's no connection, there's no click through, there's no intent, then it's a whole missed opportunity. So building your website is where it's all at. Building your website with all these links, because these links are going to save you the next day. Think about it. If you go to a beauty supply store, or if you go to just a grocery store and you're looking for, like, let's say you're looking for pomegranates, it's not in Kroger, you might find it at Trader Joe's, right? You're not going to stay there. You're going to do all your shopping at Trader Joe's because this one product is already here. So let me just do my whole shopping here than driving another 5 miles down the road. So people are thinking about convenience. Convenience. Like today, I was looking at an article, not an article, a website for the clothing company I was telling you about that does tablecloths. And they were last week around this time, they were not anywhere on the web, anywhere. And even their brand name was not even on the web. Like no brand names, nothing. Like you type in their business, it's not there. Now you type it, their business name, it's there. Right, which is a good thing because that's the first indication. Before you show up as a non-brand, you need to show up as a brand. That's the major key thing here. So the goal is to build that authority. So I saw his link and I was like, okay, first of all, we clicked on your link. And when you click on the link, it doesn't load the page. And the person right below you, when you click on that link, it loads up. So I thought about it like a storefront. When you go to a storefront and you're walking down, let's say you're going through the plaza, you see they're selling sushi here. They have, good feet. They have steak here. They have like good features on this side. They have maybe like, fruits here, and you're building that relationship because you want to be in this plaza and focus on doing this within 1 hour, right? No problem, Ryan. Thank you. If you're in these different stores, right, you're going to achieve something at each of these different stores. But if one store is lacking something, then you have to go to another store to find the same thing, or you might have to go online to find it. So, why am I giving you this example? Why I'm saying this is because if you have a product, and this is something if you do, you'll be so far ahead of the game. If you have a product, whether your product is a video, a podcast, a book, a blog, a shoe, a software, whatever it is, if you have frequently asked questions next to your product and you're also commercializing your product as a versus comparison, like this title is of the room today is with another product, then eventually there's going to be something called compound interest. So when you look at your business, you always know, okay, here's my direct competitor. But even though this is your direct competitor, there's a competitor that's that person's competitor. So there's a competitor to the competitor that's your competitor. So when you're looking at the competition, you look at the wide scale. Look at it micro and look at it macro. When you look at it macro, you can see, okay, what are they doing and how long have they been doing it? What are they doing that you're not doing? And right now, pretty much it's decentralized. Because if you have a product and it's doing well, it's meeting all the eligibility requirements, everything is checked off, and you're good to go, you can use that page as a leading page to your landing page. And that can start creating connections to your website, right? Because people start to see your page more often, they get to connect with you, they get to learn from you, and then eventually they get to, see more because they're listening, they're listening. Eventually they're learning, they're taking notes, and then it becomes something that actually shows up as a big result for them. So their goal is not just to read, they want to achieve something. So when you have frequently asked questions, that are answered on your page for your products, for your topics, whether you're discussing something, even if you're calling it a definition of a word. Why is this word important? What does this word do for me? Is this word necessary for my business? Why is this word even in existence? What's the history of the word? Whatever it is that this word or this sentence or this product does for you, bring a frequently asked question into it. Why? Because when somebody asks Siri or asks Alexa or asks ChatGPT or asks Perplexity, they're asking a search algorithm. And if that search algorithm finds a question that somebody asked specifically and you are answering those questions, semantically, you're becoming the authority over time. So if I answer 100 questions in a year and you answer 5 questions in a year, I'll have 95 more questions than you because those 95 questions have 95 more access points. So the goal here is you have a page, product page, you have an article page supporting the product page, and then you have an FAQ page supporting the product page that supports the article page. So if you break that down, you have 3 for 1, or you could have 2 for 1. So you could either have the product, then have an article leading to the product. Means you're going to have more articles leading to the same product, which leads you to more accuracy in delivery and target pages, right? Because you're thinking about target pages. Target pages. Target pages are pages that people click through to find information about what they're searching for. So if the commercial intent is for me to learn about this versus that, that helps. I was doing some research as well, and I saw recently that business decision makers love to read, analyze, and have an informed decision when they consider listening or reading comparison articles or comparison topics, because they want to see the difference between the two, HubSpot or Salesforce, right? Like those are the kind of conversations companies are having, WordPress or fill in the blank. Those are the questions they're having. Should we buy this? Should we not buy this? Should we have this? Should we not have this? When we do, it changes, right? I was doing this for a company. I was doing marketing consulting for a company, and really great company. And it took about 5 months for the company to approve the FAQ section. We had to do like 10 questions, and it went through 5 months of approval. This is when I knew that, okay, this is serious. Like, it's, I mean, they were already down to go, but it was like, okay, how are we going to really do this? And it happened that we did this FAQ right on time. Thank God they said yes, because if they didn't say yes, I don't know what we'll be talking about today. Because as soon as they said yes and we put it up on the page and it was approved, right after the boards and everybody was like, okay, green light, green light, green light. We now put it up on the website. When we did, a month later, that's when this whole SGE came, Search Generative Experiment by Google. Right now it's called AI Overview. So before it was an experiment, it was an AI experiment. Right now there's another AI experiment called Learn About, Google Learn About. So if Google doesn't learn or know about you, and you type your name and Google doesn't know you or reference any pages that refer back to you, that's a problem. So like we're heading somewhere with this. So if you think about the commercial pages that you're building, those pages are going to lead people back to your page. Think about SaaS companies, podcast platforms, course platforms. Why do you always see them talking this versus that, this versus that? Those are commercial articles. Commercial. Because is it this or that? Is it this or that? Eventually, there's going to be a winner. And if that winner is you, that's a good thing, because that's when people are going to come to the front desk. But if it's not you, people are going to walk out of the door and they're not going to leave with your product. So the goal is to keep somebody in an alignment with you based on your credibility, based on your comfortability, because you also have to be comfortable. That's another thing. You have to be comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, they're not going to feel comfortable. If somebody invites you over to their place and you don't make them feel comfortable, they're not going to feel comfortable. Like you want to say, feel at home, right? Mi casa su casa, right? You want to make that feeling like, okay, we're together, we're here. But if you don't make that feeling, the hospitality will not be received and you'll feel like I want to leave. So that hospitality comes in with, okay, why are we commercially here? We're here to talk about these products. We're here to talk about this versus that. And then if you're able to do that, that's where it leads. Like, think about it right now. If you type in restaurants near me, just type that, hotels near me, you're going to get commercial articles talking about top hotels, top restaurants, top this, top that, best this, top 10 that. You're going to see all those things. 10 years ago, it wasn't the same thing. Now it's something that's happening, not because it's happening just because of happenstance. It's because there is a reason why people are looking for commercial intent. They want to make an informed decision. And if your page is part of those pages people are using to make an informed decision, then you're the person they'll consider and trust because it showed up on your website first. That's where it all starts. So building a page that leads to that is what gives that commercial intent, right? So there's informational keywords, which runs the day, which rules the day on Google search, on any other search engine, because it's all filled with information. Then there's navigational search. Then there's commercial search. And then there's transactional search, right? For someone to type in something transactionally, it means that they're really looking for this. Like if they're looking for SEO services, or they're looking for plumbing services, or they're looking for, wedding event services, if they're looking for something that is very specific, they know that at the end of this query, I want to get to a result, a desired result. If I just want to learn how to bake, a cake, then now I have knowledge of, I have knowledge, but I don't have applied knowledge. So that knowledge now becomes something I'm going to use later on if I want to, right? But that's not going to make me take action now. It may take action a year from now. I may want to cook next Christmas, not this one, or bake a cake next time, but that's not going to lead me to my desired goal today. So if you want to get to that desired goal, if I now say, okay, I still want these people to like buy cake or do something with a cake, I will now go commercial and now talk about the top 10 flours you can use for baking your, holiday cake. And now I'm talking about products in my article that you can consider. And they could have affiliate links to Target, they could, to Amazon, have affiliate links to different places. And you're making your commercial intent, keyword responsive feedback to them because you're able to show up for them. So it's where that commercial intent comes in when you have to think about that as well. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then there's a tool I wanted to save it till the end so I can tell you guys about it. But before I do, John, Dominic, does anyone have any question or any contribution? Please feel free.
Favor, I'm at a master class. You are preaching, you're on fire, so I would be ignorant not to just let you keep flowing. So go on, my friend.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm really excited about what I want to tell you in the next few minutes. We have about 8 more minutes to go. And I'm going to change the link at the top, but I'll also put it in the chat in case anyone wants to connect with me. Feel free to do so. But I'm about to change this link at the top so that you can just get access to this. This is the first time and probably the only time I'm going to talk about this. So, yeah, I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see about this. But I'm excited to show you guys something new. Introducing something. This is an affiliate link. It's called Harper AI. Has anyone heard of Harper AI? I'm about to blow your minds.
Isn't it HARPA for help a reporter out?
No, this is Harper with a HARPA.
Gotcha. I'm check it out.
Awesome. So this is like the future. I'm talking about it now because I've taken a year to really study this thing. And if you think about ChatGPT, think about ChatGPT on steroids. Like this is a mixture of ChatGPT, Cloud. What are the others? They're all in there, right? I don't like if you guys want to check it out and go all the way to the very bottom. We're talking about FAQs today. So go all the way to the bottom of this page and see the FAQs so that you have questions, you can answer those questions. Now, why do I love this platform? For two reasons. They're compliant. That's the first reason, because that's very important when it comes to AI, when it comes to search, when it comes to these things. This is literally my AI assistant. Like I have other ones, but this is the main one. I've not used ChatGPT in a year because of this. And I've been taking my time to study it, and I'm only going to talk about this once. They're compliant and they're ISO compliant. And if you go to their website, you'll see what ISO is. ISO is technically an international organization of standardization, which is another way of saying it's an international standard to manage information security. So when you think about information security, which they created their board back in '05, right? It's been revised over and over again into today's world, and this is something that has been done to help data security when it comes to information technology and security management. So this is a platform that I have looked at, and it just beats every other platform I've seen out there. Literally, let me tell you that some of the things I use this for. Podcast. Yeah, there's Cast Magic. You can use that. Imagine if you can use any platform for anything. AI is everywhere. But this thing is a beast because I would go to a page on YouTube. Let's say I don't want to watch this video. It's a 50-minute video. I'm like, this is a long video. I understand maybe even the person who created this video doesn't have timestamps. I'll create my own timestamps for this video. And I'll tell Harper, hey, Harper, and I'll prompt Harper to scan the URL and scan the whole URL and give me takeaway points with emojis, with timestamps and everything. And then when I click on those timestamps, it tells me exactly what the context is. So I'm able to really, speed up the process. If I want to, go through an article and say, okay, I want to rewrite this article on my own page, I'll go to my page and say, rewrite this article, in a more defined way and give more structure for today's digital age. And then it does that. And why is it doing this? Because even with the AI overviews and the AI results, right now with the search compliant bases, the search engines, they allow you to have these kind of platforms, to literally go into Google search, make sure that you have your prompts, have that, you can display your chat GPT answers as well if you want to in there, chat with the AI bot, do so many things in here. And up here is my affiliate link. So you can click on that link and sign up today. Right now, I'll tell you this. This is something that is also very interesting because why I'm really happy about this is because my audience is my podcast audience is wide in 121 countries. So whenever I listen to things, I'm always grateful to hear it from people that I can't hear from every day, right? So with this platform, right? It's been designed. If you go to the very bottom of the website, you'll see it that it's designed and engineered in Finland. So it's not even in the US. So not many people talk about this in the US. So I'm just telling you this because I wanted to know about this. And that's why I left this for last because everyone uses ChatGPT, Perplexity. But when you use Harper AI and it's an agent for your browser, it does everything that you need it to do. There are case studies there you can check if you want to, see how it goes. Literally, you can generate 25,000 plus word articles. So it supports ChatGPT for cloud models. It gives you everything that you need there. So it's a beast. So I know, John, you're going to try it out. Let me know what you think. This thing is a game changer and it's also a money saver too. All right. So we've covered this today, and I'm really excited that we've had a good topic. John, you like to say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was checking out Harper AI, so I'm definitely going to try and see what comes of this and see if it helps speed my process and improves the results. If it does, it's a win-win for sure.
100%. 100%. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Tony, you coming in always at the end of the room. Like Tony's like, all right, let me jump in. Oh man, thank you for being here though. I always appreciate you being here in this space for sure. Yeah, guys. This is something I've been talking about, low key, and we run this with, when in the business. So I use this, alongside with the business and make it very, very like there's some really cool strategies that we've applied with this thing. It's a beast. It's a beast. Like I don't know how else to describe this, but if this thing can talk to you and give you exactly what you're looking for, even the first draft is already a good draft, but you don't want to keep it as the first draft. You always want to refine it. But the first draft that it gives you is so good, like you might even just want to use it, but you want to make sure that it's sounding like you. It's made for your audience because you also don't want to skew your audience because your audience knows how you speak. They know how you talk. They know how you relate. They know how you connect. They know the kind of punctuation marks that you use. So they'll be able to know there's a difference. Like, oh, this looks like it feels like AI. They will tell. They'll be able to know. But if you're using this and it has that brand, that voice, it's definitely going to help you a big, big, big ton. So this is something that I would say try out, check out, see it for yourself. And I think this is going to be something that will really help you long term. Dominic, have you heard of Harper AI?
No, but the way you're talking about it, man, go on.
Yeah, this platform is a game changer, and I think it helps with everything that you do just based on how you interact with it. And yeah, it's yeah, I probably have to do a workshop on this. I planned to do it last time, but I was like, no, I don't think it's time yet. So these are platforms you can check out, and over 400,000 professionals are using it. So just imagine what's going on out there in the world outside the US that people are not using it. This is in Finland. So when I think about the business, they've only been in business for what, 3 years? Yeah, they've been in business for 3 years. I'm seeing their company, and it's just only God knows what it's going to be like by this time next year. So if you're using this and you're training it, then it's going to help even your business thrive because Imagine if AI is recommending your page. That's when you start to actually see the shift. When AI starts ranking your article and referring your page, that means that you're a big deal. It means that people are actually connected to you. It's not magic, it's not rocket science. It just takes time. And that time can really go either left or right, depending on, on what you want, on what you need. So just think about where you're going to be a year from now. And if you think that a year from now is not far, just just think about all the possibilities that you can have as a business today, and just taking that initiative to be very specific in your goals and your targets and your reach is going to help you long term. And I think that's the beginning of giving you, you know longevity over time. So if you want to connect with me, feel free to do so. I've just changed the link at the top. And if you need help with anything, whether it's website, audits, development services, email marketing, SEO, if you're going to join the mastermind, which, enrollment ends this month at the end of the month, and Pinterest services, please reach out to me. Click this link. And once you put your contact information, you'll be redirected to the Calendly link where we'll get on a call and talk about it this month and take action, because I don't want us to just talk about these things. I want us to be about them, and I want us to come back to rooms like this and discuss the wins, because it doesn't make sense to talk about this thing. Imagine if I brought this topic to you every day of the year and I keep talking about it. At some point, you're going to get bored because you'll be like, there's nothing new. Everything has been discussed. But if you try it out, if you work it out, if you actually hit a roadblock and you want to fix it, come back. Let's talk about it. Let's make sure that you're also seeing results on your end, because there's a time coming now. People are not writing for 2025. And if you're surviving on social media to keep your business alive, think about where your website could be a year from now if you prioritize your website first. That's the level we're going to now. And at the end of the day, AI is going to look for a website to rank. It's going to look for a web page to consider. And if it's not yours, it's your competitors. So if you want it to be yours, what are you writing so that you're the person that they connect with? And that's where we can be able to help you too. And if you know somebody that needs that, please reach out to me too, and we'll get that taken care of. So we can do final takeaways before we go. Dominic, any final takeaways, and let them know how they can connect with you. And then John.
Hey, thank you, sir. Well, one of the things you told me here today is look at ultimate alternate forms of AI. Where I'm comfortable with ChatGPT, but maybe there's other opportunities out there. I definitely want you to talk about the metrics in the future, mastering the metrics, monetizing the metrics. We got to talk about that because you're a master of it. But great rooms, lots of knowledge. I am a publisher of books. I help people share inspirational stories all across the globe. I take them from piece of paper to they're in Barnes and Noble. They're doing speeches. They have a message they're proud of for years to come. And the business is called Motivation Champ. So thank you, Favor. Appreciate the space.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you so much for joining today. And please feel free to join us here in the Marketing Club. Get your ticket off so we can be
See,
part
I
of the
don't even know how
club
to do this.
and
What do I
join the
do, man?
house.
How do I get off? I will get off. I'll get my ticket right now. What do I do?
So just click the Marketing Club at the very top. And once you click that, you should be able to join the house and you'll be part of the 350,000 members that are here with us today.
I did it, man. I think, okay, next time you see me, that ticket should be
Let's
off.
go. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I was talking with one of the admins of this house club, and amazing guy. His name is Rob, and I was trying to see if we could change the settings, but if we change the setting, we would change the dynamics. And I just wish Clubhouse could change it up, because I was mentioning to him that if I do a bubble like this, chat bubbles, I'm the only one talking, or anyone else that is probably moderating is the only one talking. But if I ask a question, I see hundreds. Like if I go to replays, I look at hundreds of people. If I go to the chats, I see hundreds of people that are listen, but they can't respond back to those messages because it's like a one-way broadcast. And the reason is, if we approve, and you guys let me know if there's a setting that we can change, because I looked through it with him. If you look at the settings in your house, there's a place where it says that if you approve members, you can either do like join by approval, open to all, or close, something like that. But if you switch it, it also switches by default the other option where if somebody wants to come in, they can come in. But the problem now is everybody can respond to that marketing club chat bubble. So it's like you can't turn it on if you're not within this other scope. So it's like it's really weird. I don't know why they made it that way, but I'm hoping that eventually it's opened up to everyone. So if someone asks a question, you can get all kinds of responses and not it being just like a closed community. So we're still working on that, but we'll make sure that is taken care of. Or we might just have to switch up the flow so that people can also feel exclusive in the club. So that may change. I'll just let you guys know. John, please feel free to let us know your biggest takeaway and how they can connect with you.
The biggest takeaway is something I shared earlier, and you heard it in Breakfast of Champions. Treat this as media. Talking about the Clubhouse app. It's your opportunity to get out there and tell people about you, your product, your service, your brand. When it comes to what Favor talks about, a lot of what he talks about is beyond me. I'm nowhere near the level he is. However, I started taking little things like SEO and focusing on the very basics, and it's made a huge, huge difference. I mean, a massive difference. So, what I would say is take what you need and leave the rest. And then later on, when you can do some of this stuff, which I'm going to do the FAQ next, when you can do some of that stuff, then go ahead and implement it. But get started. So get started on the basics. And if you can't afford, if you don't have time, you don't know how to do it, but you have the ability to hire someone, I would highly recommend Favor. Get you in the right way. Best way to find me is Podcast Pros do rooms at Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Also Mondays, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, and Breakfast with Champions. I do a personal development room from 7 to 8. And my website for my syndicated radio show and podcast is letradio.com. So as a podcast only, we now have 125 stations. We broadcast weekly to 45 million combined population. We estimate the audience at between 2.5 to 4 million per week. If you're interested, reach out to me. My email address is in my bio.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you too for being here and, just listening and learning as well is a big thing because, when you're an action taker, you see results and those results, incrementally get better over time because you're adding value to the system and it's good to see that. It's really good. Thank you so much again. If you guys are on LinkedIn, please, anyone here in the room, if you're on LinkedIn, please put your LinkedIn in the chat or put your website so that we can connect. Feel free to do so if you'd like to, if you want to connect to people out here, because that's what I love to do to make sure that we can have good connections and make this worth your while. So I'm excited that you guys are here, and we'll be here again tomorrow. So I'll give you more insights on the topic. You'll see it as well, and we'll be here talking about basic SEO 101. I'm so glad I covered this Google, Bing, ChatGPT, Perplexity. And for those who are probably skipping to the end to just hear what's going on, this is what I can say just to give you a quick recap, is that if you want to rank on Google, Bing, ChatGPT, and Perplexity, the first point of action, your first step, your first baby step is to make sure your website is connected to the search engines so that your search engine responds to your website. So think about it as an engine. And when it's an engine, the engine is running good, right? The engine runs good because it's having good oil, good lubricant. So if you're doing that for your website, then AI search engines can also rank you as an authority, but that's going to take time. But once you're first connected, that's a first step. If you want to get to the next steps, we can talk about those things too and make sure that we can get that, straightened out. So I see, oh, okay, to the send. Thank you so much for putting that in. I'm about to connect with you, connected with you, and then as well say as well, is that LinkedIn? Oh no, that's I think a website. Okay, perfect. So I don't know if there's a social, well, I don't see any social links, but I'll try find a way. But thank you so much for Tiny Home and Byland Development. Thanks for putting your link there as well. I've connected with you guys. And yeah, LinkedIn is a fun place. And D, I'm about to reach out to you. So I'm about to call you and we need to handle some things. So looking forward to that call for sure. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all, and feel free to connect with me, listen to replay, and I'll be back again here tomorrow. See you guys in the clubhouse streets. God bless you and take care.